If you guys own a Sony full frame camera, this is the lens that you need. It feels like it's been years since we've gotten out and gone on any sort of adventures. Last minute, we saw that the weather was supposed to get up to 18 degrees this weekend. So we thought, hey, let's pack up the van quick and let's just go for a weekend adventure. So Chelsey and I have had this lens now for probably over a year, and we're super happy with it, but it does come with its pros and cons. So first, let's talk about the weight and size of this lens. For being a 28-75, this lens is extremely light, extremely small, and extremely compact. So for us, Chelsey and I are travel and adventure photographers. That's why we're out in beautiful places like this. We're also wedding photographers and videographers, and we also do a lot of real estate photos. I do lots of real estate photos on the daily, actually. So that being said, having a super small and compact setup, like all these Tamron lenses, is a huge benefit to us. Okay, I found this nice little hole. The wind's starting to pick up, so hopefully we're buried enough deep in this little hole here. Look. Back to this lens though. So even though this is more of a budget and a cheap lens, it does not lack on picture quality whatsoever. Like I said, I've used this on weddings, I've used this for real estate, I've used this for all of our adventure photos like this. So I've used this on paid jobs, and nobody's ever pointed out the fact that I'm using a Tamron lens. Honestly, nobody really cares. And usually when you're looking at compact lenses like this, you're gonna have to give up stuff like having that f2.8 aperture or having a full focal range here. But with this lens, you don't really need to. Having this f2.8 aperture is really important to us. For example, shooting weddings and shooting real estate, they're always indoors and they're usually not lit very well. So you need that low aperture to let more light into your sensor so that you can get really crisp and sharp images. Even out here, you can use that f2.8 aperture and zoom in to 35, 50, 75, and you get that really blurry background, which makes it look more expensive and more professional. Okay, so I know I've been really hyping up this lens, so before you go out and buy it, here's a few things that I wish they would improve on, or I hope they get better with in the future. And that is the focal range. So this is a 28-75, when the more traditional version of this lens would be a 24-70. So you do get about 5 more millimeters when you zoom in, which really isn't that too big of a deal, but you don't get the full 24 millimeter range. And I'd like to say it doesn't bother me, but it does. I do miss that extra 4 millimeters. I like shooting really wide, especially in landscapes like this. But when I'm shooting real estate or weddings, that's when I feel like I'm missing this the least, because I don't really shoot as wide for those. I kind of shoot at a 35 is about the widest I shoot for weddings. For real estate, I'm using a super wide lens anyway, so these are more for detail shots and stuff like that. The thing that they do that I think is really overlooked is that their filter thread sizes are all the same length. These are all a 67 millimeter. So when you get the 17-28 like I'm filming on right now, you get the 28-70, even when you get the 70 to 180 zoom lens that they have, they all use the same filter thread. Now, not that big of a deal to most people, but once you have all of your filters the same size, I don't like messing around with step rings, and we're always running and gun shooting, so it's actually a huge benefit, again, that I think is really overlooked. Whew! Came on the other side of this hoodoo into the sun. It's a lot warmer. Oh, this is not easy terrain to hike whatsoever. Sorry I keep stopping in all these crouched down places, but there's really not many places to put the camera, especially out of the wind. So the other thing that you miss on this lens that you get on other lenses like the Sony G Master is any custom buttons or any clicker rings or any autofocus and manual focus switches on the lens itself. The Tamron lenses are very minimal. You get your focus ring back here and you get your zoom ring up at the front like this. And that's just about it. It does make the lens very minimal, I will say that. Do I miss any of the functions like the custom button? I've never actually owned a G Master lens. I've used them before. But I've never really missed any of the custom buttons. However, some of my Sigma lenses do have the autofocus switch on and off, and that is something that I actually do miss. But any of those drawbacks, in my opinion, still aren't enough to hold me back from getting the G Master. So now, who do I think this lens is for? Well, although it's a very cheap and compact lens, I do think that it's very passable for any professional use. And whether you're a wedding photographer, whether you're an adventure photographer like us, or whether you're a real estate photographer, honestly, any type, sports, anything, I don't really see how you couldn't benefit from this focal length. A 28-75 is just perfect. It's wide enough that you can get really nice wide landscapes and tight enough that you can get close detail shots and portraits. I do wish that the minimum focusing distance was a little bit closer in, but you can't have everything. I do honestly think that if you have a Sony full frame camera and you're looking to get your first 24-70-ish focal range, probably the most popular focal range, I do highly recommend the Tamron 28-75. If you haven't figured that out already. I'm sorry if those audio in my last clips were a little bit janky, but the wind is starting to pick up. I think I found a spot that's gonna be okay. But there it is. There's my thoughts on the Tamron 28-75. I do really hope you guys liked this video. I hope you found it helpful. I know it might have sounded a little biased, but that's because we do own these lenses. We purchased them with our own money, and we have been using them for about the past year, but these thoughts are our own. So if you guys liked this video and thought it was helpful, please hit that like button. It actually helps us out. If you guys want to see more videos like this, please hit that subscribe button, and we'll see you on the next one. Bye.